Good evening. I'd like to welcome Jackie to tell us a little about mentoring this evening. Jackie's been training mentors and mentoring managers for over 10 years. She's been running the Women in Engineering Society's mentor programme called MentorSet for 6 years. She is rightly known as the mentor's mentor. Now, Jackie, can you tell me how mentoring is different from coaching?
Well, this is actually a very good question, Trish, and it's a question I get asked quite often. In my view, and I have to say it's my own opinion, is coaching is where you're pulling out knowledge and experience from the person who's being coached, whereas mentoring is more about giving them additional options based on the mentor's experience.
And are there different types of mentoring?
There are. Most people think of mentoring as a one-to-one, a senior mentor and a junior mentee. But there are other kinds of mentoring, two that immediately spring to mind. One is peer mentoring, where you have a mentee and a mentor who take it in turns to mentor each other. It has to be 50%, so you have to be very careful who you pick. And the other one is bottom-up mentoring, where you have perhaps a senior person who wants to understand more about technology and the way the world works today, perhaps how the younger generation think. And the mentor is actually the more junior person who can then advise the older person.
That comes me to, how easy is it to match mentors and mentees?
Well, it's funny you should ask me that, Trish, because I'm currently going through that process with the MentorSet programme. It's quite an art because it's not something that really computers can do very well, in that you look for someone who perhaps is in the similar location or can visit each other, or whether a mentor or mentee can visit each other. But also you're looking for common interests, the right kind of experience that a mentor needs in order to meet the mentee's expectations. But also little things like personality, because one of the things we do at MentorSet is that we ask people for different ways of describing themselves, for example, motivated or confident or talkative, those sorts of things, so we can kind of match them up that way.
That's very good. How long does this typical mentoring relationship last?
Well, it does vary quite a bit, because if, for example, a mentee is looking to find a new job, often the mentoring programme or the mentoring relationship can be quite short, and because obviously much more intensive. But if it's more about sort of long-term career development, is that sometimes the mentoring relationship can be a year or even as long as 18 months.
Oh. And can anyone benefit from being a mentor?
Pretty much anyone, yes. There are one or two people who find it very difficult to relate to other people, and I think those are the people who perhaps won't get as much out of mentoring. But in my view, anyone can benefit from mentoring. I have a mentor. I've not met anyone myself personally who I don't think wouldn't benefit from it.
And can anybody be a mentor?
Well, that's a $64 billion question. No, not everybody can be a mentor. One of the difficulties we have is that certainly in the business world today, or the business world I operate in, is that there are a lot of people who are setting themselves up as mentors, particularly senior business managers or senior business leaders who feel they have something to give back, but find it very difficult to form a mentoring relationship, which is about giving the mentee options rather than just telling them what to do. And I think some senior managers find that really quite difficult.
And so, who mentors you?
Yes, I often get asked this question. I've actually got two mentors, or two formal mentors. One is a business manager who lives near where I live in Beaconsfield. I won't name him, but I've known him for a very long time. I actually met him in the gym, so I know that we get on a personal basis, and we have the gym in common at least. But he's a very, very senior manager. He operates internationally, and I have breakfast with him from time to time. And he normally listens to my ideas, tells me I'm completely crazy, and then we sit down and work out different ways that we can actually make it work. I have another mentor who's really more specifically about marketing, who I meet really on a monthly basis, who sort of looks at my marketing plan, and we talk it through, and he makes suggestions as to what else I might do or what I might drop or that kind of thing. But other than that is that I look for mentors in all sorts of places. So, for example, even in Toastmasters, even though I've been here for a long time, my feeling is that everybody can benefit from a second opinion. And that's one of the great things that mentors can give you.
And finally, have you got any tips for anyone who wants to become a mentor?
Probably the best thing is look for some training. Mentoring is not something that comes naturally to everybody. And certainly it's one of the things I do. I actually run training for mentors. But probably the main thing is develop your listening skills, because that's one of the things that a lot of mentors don't have enough of. The second thing is try and put yourself into your mentee's shoes. In other words, as I like to say, walk a mile in their shoes, so that you can actually position your experience in a way that's relevant to your mentee. And finally is that there are thousands of people out there looking for mentees. Join a mentoring program like MentorSet or one of the other various mentoring programs there are.
There are
just do it.
Mentoring programs for various other things apart from yours is specifically for engineering.
That's right. The MentorSet is specifically for engineers, technologists and scientists, but I'm also a volunteer mentor with the Institute of Entrepreneurs, and I'm also a volunteer mentor with the Cherry Blair Foundation, where I mentor people all around the world.
That's very interesting. Thank you very much, Jackie.
Thank you, Trish. It's a pleasure.